It seems as if the Scream 6 marketing is about to ramp up, as well as we just got a quote from Mr. Kevin Williamson about how the franchise could go on forever. Let's get into it.
Well, sometimes death is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today we're talking a little bit about Scream 6, talking specifically about how the Twitter account is going a little crazy recently, so we may be seeing the marketing be rolling out to us sometime soon, as well as a very interesting quote from the godfather of Scream, essentially, Mr. Kevin Williamson, talking so much about how this series could go on forever. We're going to talk about if that's a possibility or not in just a second here, but first, if you guys can like this video and hit that nasty old subscribe button, old Jake here would be pretty happy about that. We're nearly at 13,000 subscribers here. How crazy is that? There's some nuts in that turd. So first thing on the docket is we gotta talk about the Scream Twitter account that is currently going completely crazy and responding to like everything. First, we have the Scream account responding to old Jack Quaid, who played Richie Kirsch in the last movie. I don't think he's coming back, and I don't think that's what this means, for those who are probably getting one step ahead of me. But Jack Quaid was wishing the amazing Jenna Ortega a happy birthday the other day. Speaking of which, happy belated birthday, Jenna, not that you're going to be watching this. But the Scream account responded to them just saying fun times. Now, this may just seem like nothing to you. At first, it was nothing to me, but then we had this very interesting back and forth between Paramount Pictures and the Scream Movies account that made me question all of this a little bit more. The Paramount Plus account tweeted out, "What's your favorite scary movie?" To which Scream responded with, "I asked the questions around here." Paramount Plus locked their front door and their back door and then locked all the windows. To which Mr. Ghosty said, "Are you sure I'm not already inside?" Now, once again, this may just come off as nothing to you. It's like, okay, that's some funny tweets, Jake, but like, where are you going with this? Well, if you remember from last year, they started ramping up the marketing for Scream 5, a movie that came out this past January. They started marketing that movie in essentially August of 2021. It wasn't too much, nothing crazy to write home about at first. It was just some nice tweets every now and then, this crazy Airbnb stunts that they did at Stu's house, like Stu's real house in California. You could go stay there on Airbnb for a night. And fucking David Arquette was there too, which is crazy. But my point is, 5 months before the movie even came out, hell, longer than that, they were starting to market this movie. Sure, we didn't get a trailer until 3 months before, which I don't expect anything different for Scream 6, but I could see some kind of crazy marketing stunt in our near future here. Don't forget, the 6th installment has a much later release date into the year than the previous installment that was a January release, which had a lot of us kind of concerned. Why was this thing coming out in January? A lot of us were concerned about that, but it ended up being a very big hit. It's one of the highest grossing slashers of all time, right up there with most of the other Scream movies, which I think is pretty dope. But next month, which is, checking my calendar, quite literally in a day, we'll probably see some kind of crazy marketing stunt, because I don't think they're going to deviate from the Scream 5 marketing, which was, in my opinion, really well done. I mean, besides some shots in the trailers that kind of gave away who the killers were in that last movie, besides that, I wouldn't have changed a thing. I think everything was very elaborate, very over the top, and really got the word out about a new Scream movie. It's a really big deal to me, at least, that a movie that got dumped in January made $140 million. Nobody goes to see horror movies in January, so the fact that this previous Scream movie made a bunch of money is really impressive and telling to me. And however you feel about that past film, because it's not my favorite Scream movie, it's right in the middle for me. I think it's good, it has some problems, but it also does some cool things as well. I think Scream 6 is going to be better in almost every facet. Radio Silence has so much more creative freedom with this movie. I think it's going to be something truly special for the franchise, something we've never seen before. Speaking of which, Mr. Kevin Williamson, who I said earlier is like the godfather of Scream, without him, there would be no Scream. The man has made some very interesting comments regarding the franchise and the future of it, how it could basically go on forever. And he kinda has a point. Talking about the future of the franchise, Kevin Williamson told Collider, "Now, I do think it can go on. I've been proven wrong repeatedly. Since this last one was such a pleasure, I also think one of the wonderful things about Scream is that there's a different killer in every film. There's Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, or Freddy Krueger. They don't go away. And Ghostface changes with every movie. So we have an opportunity to change the motive, change the story, and we can always twist and turn it since it, the original Scream, was always meant to be a game changer." Now, Kevin makes some pretty genius points here that I completely agree with, and it makes me really happy that he's kind of in the same like wavelength as I am about the Scream franchise. I know some people were disappointed with Scream 2022, but this comment has me really excited about the future of the franchise. Things that I have been preaching basically about the franchise is things things that are recognized here by Mr. Kevin Williamson himself, which really gives me hope for the future of these movies, whatever else they do past even Scream 7, which, no, is not confirmed, but will most likely happen. Breaking that down piece by piece, he talks about how there's a different killer every film. That really aids this franchise and separates it from the other franchises he's talking about here, like Friday the 13th, Halloween, and A Nightmare on Elm Street, where you kind of have the same killer every single time. You can't really change that up too much, even though sometimes they have tried to do that in the past, but it doesn't always work with changing up Jason or changing up Freddy. Like for instance, with Michael Myers in Halloween Ends, something we've been talking about a lot is what are they gonna do with Corey Cunningham here? Are we gonna have yet another character dress up as Michael and start killing people in the movies? Is this something the fans really want to see or not really? Like, I feel like fans of Halloween would mostly agree that we want a killer that is just Michael. Like, we just want to see Michael killing people, going up against Laurie Strode, and then, you know, you can't really put through too much else in there. Because when you do, a lot of the fan base starts getting worried, like especially with what they're gonna do with Corey in this new movie. Is this going to work? I hope so. But I feel like if they were to introduce something that's so outlandish like that into the Scream franchise, it would work a lot better than how it would in the Halloween franchise here. There would be a lot less outrage about it and much more like, ooh, that might be cool. The Scream franchise is also just so much so like a ball of clay. I mean, you can mold this thing into anything and it could work. You can change the motive up, you can have multiple killers, hell, 3 killers, 1 killer, 2 killers, go standard, whatever. Or you can also just change up the setting and that can be an exciting all in its own. I mean, look at how pumped we are for Scream 6 going to New York City. That's so different. Something I find so interesting about the Scream franchise is that you have this ability to make the motive whatever the fuck you want. You have this ability to write in brand new characters every single time to be a killer. This franchise is so malleable, this really could go on forever and they could just keep throwing crazier ideas at us with every single sequel. And the most interesting thing to me is that if you go back throughout all 5 of these movies, there's really only been like 2 motives. All 3 of the first movies' motive basically boils down to some kind of revenge plot, which yes, all of them are slightly different, but it is all just for revenge essentially at the end of the day. And then these previous 2 movies are parallel but not the same, about killers who are trying to influence the Stab franchise, or get famous off of it if we're talking about Scream 4 specifically. And the fact that Kevin Williamson is saying that with every movie you have the opportunity to change the motive, change the story, we can always twist and turn it since the original Scream was always meant to be a game changer. Now every sequel can kind of be that in its own way, commenting on whatever the fuck is going on in the horror genre. And that to me I think is beautiful. Horror is such an ever-changing genre, it's constantly different. I think we could always use a Scream film every 5 years or so anyways, just based off of whatever the fuck is going on in the space. I mean, think about how the horror space was before 2018. Like Halloween 2018 popularized the requel, which like every franchise now has kind of copied in their own sort of way, as well as movies like Hereditary that came out that year that really popularized like the A24 psychological horror kind of subgenre thing that they got going on. Right now we're kind of like seeing like the later stages of those like really popular aspects, which is really cool still. I've been enjoying the past like 4 or 5 years of horror a lot. It's been really fucking cool. But like, you obviously have a lot of things to critique there. With a Scream movie, that would be perfect. I really think they could pump out a new one of these every 5 years or so, and it's almost a missed opportunity not to. Because of how ever-changing this landscape is, there's always going to be something to comment on. I mean, some people hate Halloween 2018. There are so many things to critique about it, as well as movies like Hereditary that also people hate too. And the best thing about a Scream film is that you're always going to be able to touch on that with its meta humor. It can really apply to any generation in time for horror movies, which I think is really fucking cool. So I am very excited for Scream 6, and just like Kevin Williamson here, I genuinely think this franchise could go on forever. But what do you guys think? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this new Scream 6 update. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you want to send me any crazy messages about the Scream franchise, Halloween franchise, any other franchises. Hit me up there. Also, if you want to support this channel further, you can support me on Patreon or become a channel member by clicking that join button on my page. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.